to the cloud, not my computer. Okay. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Welcome to our second to last Eloqua User Group meeting of this year. I am your host for today. I'm honored to run these meetings every month and put together the content. Here's me. There's me on the top right, and the 3 pups or kids we have. We have 3 dogs and 3 cats. That's a big part of what I work hard for, is to have a good life outside of work, hiking with these guys. This is a photo actually taken in upstate New York in the Adirondacks. It's a year old. I don't have a great hiking photo from this year yet, but I went up there after I lost a very close friend of mine to cancer and just needed to disconnect. And I'll tell you, it was therapeutic. So highly recommend it. People are calling it all sorts of things these days, forest bathing, whatever you would like to call it. I call it hiking, but nonetheless, that's a big part of why I do this Eloqua stuff. So my background, for anybody that doesn't know me, I know a lot of you do, but welcome if this is your first Eloqua User Group meeting you're joining, hosted by Sojourn. I've worked at Sojourn since the company started 6 years ago. My experience in marketing goes back 18 years, with 12 of the 18 years on the consulting side, the other years being a practitioner, a marketer, I learned a lot there, definitely as well. Working for some smart people, some pushy people as well. It was interesting. But I also learned a lot working with different companies with their challenges on the marketing side, the sales side, operations, IT, and have tried to use that knowledge gained to help Eloqua users who are at the beginning of their journey as an Eloqua user, or who are a veteran like myself and a few others here, 10+ years into knowing that Eloqua thing or using it in some capacity. So if you have any feedback that you would like to see this Eloqua User Group meeting tweaked, run differently, I'm always open to it. I share that almost every month just to open up for feedback. Today we have a loaded agenda, so let's dig into it. So first of all, we're all going to dance with a turkey on our head. No, I'm just kidding. That's from Friends. If anybody is wondering where I got that gift, that's not me. But anyway, I got to stop looking at it. So first, we're going to start with what we usually do is I'm going to give everybody relevant reminders. My goal with those is to help you stay in the Eloqua know. Things that when you're an Eloqua user, somebody should be telling you about, or you have to go find it yourselves. Well, this is a format where I try to not have to have you go find it yourselves. I assemble it together and share it with you and give you links to places to learn more as needed. Then we're going to switch over to the Forethought marketing team. We've got Tom and Mark here from Forethought Marketing. They're going to give an overview of a couple of their apps that are very popular with Eloqua users, specifically merging contacts in Eloqua, because there's not an out-of-the-box, easy-peasy way to do so. They've developed an app for that. So there is an app for that, like there's an app for your phone to do all sorts of crazy things. There are a lot of apps. There are hundreds of apps for Eloqua certified by Oracle, including Forethought, who has many apps, but they're going to highlight 2 of their key apps today and how they can help you specifically with Eloqua. And then we're going to switch over to 2 folks from the Oracle team. So Brandon and Abbas are going to walk us through what that Oracle InfinityIQ thing is. Now, in past Eloqua user groups, we've had Infinity presented by Oracle. And then in another one, we had Maximizer presented by a partner who supports it, Michael Blumenfeld from DevGuru. Today, we're going to talk about InfinityIQ, which is, in your mind, you might think of it as a merger of those 2 products with lots of benefits. Anyway, I won't steal their thunder anymore. They already have. Brandon and Abbas will walk us through the benefits for you as an Eloqua user, more of the marketing-minded benefits, and specifically in Eloqua. Then if there's time, I'm going to educate you guys, if you don't know already, on Apple's Hide My Email feature. I've seen it come up on my phone a lot. I think I enabled it for it to do so with the mail privacy protection new features that have come out with iOS devices like iPhones and iPads, etc. So I want to help you understand, what is Hide My Email? What does it impact in Eloqua? Because it can hurt your Eloqua environment. So I'll talk to you about that. If we don't have time today, I will do that in December. It's an important topic we don't want people to lose sight of. And then we're going to open it up for questions and tips. If you have any tips you want to share with the users, it could be a quick tip, it could be a link to something, we welcome it. You can always put that in the chat as well. During this meeting, just quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A. If you'd like to comment on anything, please enter that into the chat. If you put a question in the chat, we'll kick you out of the meeting. I'm just kidding. Inevitably, people always do that, so it's no worries. The Q&A is just a bit easier to manage. And then this recording will be sent to you later today. I will email you a thank you and a copy or link to the recording. It's always posted on our website the same day in our resources center. So you can always, if you can't attend, no worries. We always post the recording for you to watch. No cost, of course. So relevant reminders. You can see I'm speaking fast because we have a lot to get to, and I don't want to take time away from our presenters who have put in efforts to get ready for today. So Eloqua's latest release. So Eloqua does a new release with features, new features, enhanced features, fixing bugs, all of that every quarter. And their last release for this year is called 21D. They do it by the year, so 2021, hence the 21. A, B, C, D by the quarter, so we're in D, fourth quarter. And there is the schedule of the release coming out. So if you're on pod 1, it's starting in your Eloqua instance tomorrow night, Friday night. You can see the rest of the schedule. I know everybody here can read, so I won't read it out loud to you. Key highlights of what's coming in this new release, if you don't know already: native SMS, so text messaging, not voice messaging, not in-app notifications, not push notifications. Hopefully that will come later, but for now, native text messaging, aka SMS, in controlled availability. Will it be generally available for everybody soon? We hope so. The idea is those who do the controlled availability benefit from it, but also give feedback to improve it. And then when it's out and generally available for everybody, it's even better for us. So probably next year is what we've heard from the product team as far as the roadmap for the feature to be available for all to use. Not that everybody should use it, just saying. The other things to highlight: the Salesforce integration app. If you have Eloqua, if it's integrated with Salesforce, or if it needs to be, there's an app for that. And every quarter this year and last year, the Oracle product team has put a big focus on making it even better. So there's quite a few things that didn't make sense to list them out here. There have been changes to the API and improvements there. And then last but not least, the big highlight is the Eloqua Maximizer integration is generally available depending on what pod you're on. So if you have Maximizer, you can integrate it with Eloqua seamlessly. So the other thing I want to point out is almost every month this year, I've been mentioning the move from where Eloqua is stored at Oracle to OCI, which stands for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. There's improvements that users should feel in Eloqua with that migration. However, what I will say is there's quite a few things you have to do for your Eloqua instance to be ready when it's migrated to OCI. Like if you have IP addresses, dedicated IP addresses for sending emails out of Eloqua, you'll get new ones. They will need to be warmed. If you have like an SFTP integration or a Salesforce integration, you're going to have for your pod a new IP address, and it will need to be whitelisted, for instance, by Salesforce or on your SFTP server. So not going to spend too much more time on this. There's a link here to just an overview of what the migration means from Oracle on the Topliners website. We are going to present next month one of our consultants who has helped a client or two with this migration. We've helped various clients, but we're going to show our checklist of things to consider doing. Now, if you don't have an SFTP integration, you don't have to worry about that. But we want to make sure that we have a comprehensive list for you to consider so that you do this migration as seamlessly as possible. We've seen a situation or two where customers come to us, they didn't know about it, and now they're in a scuffle to get things done, and they can't send emails out of Eloqua. Well, they can when they're now on the new OCI infrastructure, but they haven't warmed their new IPs yet, so they're having deliverability issues. So we want to help you mitigate any of those risks and get ahead of it. Not necessarily we Sojourn. We'll give you the tips. You may not even need any help. So the whole idea is to educate you and have you take it from there if you'd like. Next thing is just a reminder, Eloqua free training is available. You can watch YouTube videos that Oracle has created for Eloqua. They've improved them over the years. They've added more over the years. You can also, through Oracle University, take the Eloqua Explorer course, which has a few different pieces to it. It's not very long, it's not very in-depth, but it's a great way to dip your toes in the water to start to learn Eloqua. If I was a brand new Eloqua user or hadn't done any training, even if I was 2 years into using Eloqua and had done no training, I would highly recommend you do at least this, the Eloqua Explorer, and you don't have to pay Oracle for that. That's hence me having an all caps free. And then Eloqua's Help Center. Don't forget about that. I always go there. I have it bookmarked. When I have to confirm something or look up something that I don't know, the Help Center is the first place I go. And then if you missed a past Eloqua User Group meeting, just to reiterate, you can watch past user group meeting recording on our website. And I'll remind you of that in the follow-up emails. So again, for anybody who has joined, please feel free to enter your questions in the Q&A. Now, somebody just asked, what is the date for this change? If you're talking about OCI, Stephanie, it depends on what pod you're on. So let me just pull this up really quick to show you. I think it's only pods 1 through 4 that are remaining. So bear with me, takes a second. Pods 6 and 7 have already been migrated to OCI, so that's done. And I think, yeah, there it is. So it's in 2022 for pods 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Dates have not been established. If you want to know what pod you're on, I've done this a few times, but really quickly, when you log into Eloqua, it says it right there, well, we're on pod 3. So we need to get our heinies prepared at Sojourn for this change to take place next year. That said, again, you can see here, Oracle has not said yet when it's going to happen in 2022. So just to give you a little bit behind this, there are thousands of Eloqua customers on pods 1 through 4, more than on pods 6 and 7. So there's a lot more people that need to get prepared, and Oracle's giving more time because of that. That's one of the main drivers. Okay, enough of my jibber jabbering. I'd love to introduce you guys now to 2 gentlemen that I will call friends. We've been in the same space for over a decade. I highly respect them. Mark and Tom from Forethought Marketing. So they're going to do a formal introduction of themselves, and they're going to walk us through, again, 2 of their apps that we've seen help our Eloqua customers. I heard from other Eloqua customers they've been beneficial, and that's just touching the surface of the apps that they have created for Eloqua. There are a lot more, so they're going to talk about that as well. So without further ado, Mark, Tom, I'd love to hand it over to you to walk us through your apps for Eloqua.
Thank you very much, Karin. Appreciate the warm introduction.
Welcome.
So I'm gonna do a couple quick things here. First thing I'm gonna do is take everybody through a list of the cloud apps that we have. I'm not gonna try and sort of make everybody comfortable with each and every one of them because there's way too many to do that. In addition, I'll mention up front that there are about 15 apps that we have in the queue that Oracle has not yet approved for the Oracle Marketing Cloud. So there's also apps that are coming along. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. You should be able to see my screen now. And this is a quick list of the apps that we have available. Again, I'm not trying to necessarily cover each and every one of them, but just to give you some sense of what's available. So we have a bunch of data cleansing cloud apps. Some of these Eloqua can now do, but we can do in a better, more efficient manner in a number of ways. A whole bunch of things here we can do in a number of different, from a number of different dimensions. Everybody, of course, is very familiar with the custom object capability, I assume, of Eloqua. And so there's a bunch of things that the custom objects can't be done with them out of the box. So we have a bunch of custom object capabilities, including moving things from the custom object to the contact, or the custom object to the custom object, or deleting it and archiving the data, or feeding the things into a different custom. There's a bunch of things we can do here. Compare fields, update mask contact custom objects, mask custom object deleter. Bunch of things we can do here. And then one of our most popular categories is other cloud apps. One of our most popular cloud apps is the many-to-one email. This overcomes the ability that email has in every contact being tied to every contact being tied to one email. We have an upload wizard that feeds information into Eloqua that remote marketing departments will use to maintain data consistency. And of course, today we're going to talk about merge contacts, which allows you to take a couple of contacts and combine them together. We have 2 here. One that is the standard merge contacts cloud app, and one that is the one that has the custom object option as part of it. We have a bunch, as I said, a bunch of other cloud apps that are available, and including even some that aren't listed here. Tom, now I'm going to turn it over to him. He's going to talk about a couple of our more popular cloud apps, and I'll let you jump in from this point.
Thanks, Mark. All right, let me share my screen. And so what I'm going to show you today is the Merge Contacts app and the Program Feeder app. So the Merge Contacts app is off of the app menu. We've got version 1.1 I'm going to open up here for you. The intent behind the Merge Contacts app is to mirror what you do on your CRM system. So for example, most CRM systems have the ability to take two different contacts, merge them together, move information from one contact to the other contact, and get rid of the one that you don't need anymore. There's no capability to do that in Eloqua. And so we built an app to do that. The intent here, again, is that you know the two contacts that you want to merge. We've had a number of people ask us, can Eloqua find those two contacts? And that's a future capability that we're looking at. But right now, think of this as you've just merged two contacts in your CRM system, and you want to now merge them in Eloqua. So I've got two contacts here, my test merge 1 and test merge 2 contacts. I've determined that these are the same contact, and I want to merge them together. I'm going to determine, and you'll see on the app, how I'll be able to decide which information to keep from the two different contacts. And we also have the ability to move activities. I'll show that to you in a sec when I go through the configuration, as well as a couple other functions that we've added into the app over time as people have asked us for different capabilities. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the first contact that I want to retain. So this is my test merge 1 contact. And then I'm going to find the contact 2 that I want to move into it. So what's going to happen here is that we're going to take all the information that we want to keep from contact B and move it into contact A. And you'll see here that the app comes up and automatically assumes that we want to keep data from contact A unless the data is blank. So in this case, it says, well, address 3 is blank. So we're going to pull that data from contact B and move it into contact A. Same thing with job level and job role. There's no information on contact A. So we're going to take that information from contact B and move it to A. And over here, you see the resulting information that will be on the merged contact. If I want to keep information from B as opposed to A, I can always click on these boxes. And so I can move the information over from B into A, or if I wanted to keep just the information from A, I could do that as well. So you have a lot of capability here to decide which information you want to move. And by the way, I'll show you in the configuration, this list of fields is completely determined by the administrator. So I've just chosen a handful of fields here, but you can choose any or all fields from the Eloqua contact record to move over. It will default to contact A unless it's blank, in which case it'll bring it over from B. And again, you can always go in and decide which ones you want to move over. We also have the ability to check for activities. I'm not going to do that because, as it says, this could take a few minutes. What it's going to do is go out to the profile table and find all of the activities on contact B, and then allow you to choose those to move over to contact A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the merge contact. This is going to take a minute or two. And while it's doing that, I want to show you the configuration for this app. So for merging activities, if you're familiar with Eloqua, you know that Eloqua does not allow you to write to the activity table. But what we can do is we can write external activities that can mirror the information that is on the activity. So what we do in the merge contacts app is we take those activities from contact B, we write them as external activities on contact A so that that activity information is there and available for segmentation and filtering. They just don't show up as clean activities. They do show up as external activities. The next thing we do is allow you to choose, as I said, all of the fields in Eloqua. So you can choose any or all of the fields that are in the Eloqua contact record, and you can add those. And these are the fields that will show up for the user when they decide to merge the contacts. Then there are a couple other things that we can do. So some people like to capture the original email address. So we can write that email address from contact B into a contact field on contact A. So there's a history, an audit trail basically of saying, we moved test merge 2 into test merge 1. And so we can keep that information. We have the option to store that information in a custom object rather than on the contact field. So we've created, in this case, a historical email address merge contact custom object. And in that custom object set, we have the information, the email address that was stored, that was deleted, basically, in our case, test merge 2 will be deleted, and it will be stored on this custom object set, again, for auditing purposes, historical purposes. We also have the ability to move custom objects. So you can identify the different custom object records that you want to move from contact B to contact A. And so those will end up linked to contact A. And then finally, we have the ability to archive all this information from contact B into an SFTP server. So if you want to archive the information for audit trail information for historical purposes, you can do all of that information and store it in the SFTP server. So the end result of all this is, if I go back to my contacts here, test merge 2 is gone. Test merge 1 is there with the information that we moved over from test merge 2. So that took, I talked a lot longer than it took to do this, but basically the information is there. If I were to look at the custom objects assigned, whoops, where did it go? I have to go to the custom object table. So if I go to the custom object table and pull up that historical record, what you'll see is that we've got the information from contact B that was the email address that was in contact B is now in contact A. So hopefully my merge worked correctly. And oh, it didn't show up in here yet, but the custom object record will be written in. So so that's the merge contact record app. And if you have questions, put them in the Q&A area, and I will be happy to answer those questions. While you're doing that, I'm going to go to our next app, which is the Contact Cloud Feeder. So in Eloqua, when Eloqua switched from Eloqua 9 to Eloqua 10 and brought in the program Canvas, the way that information, the contacts are brought into the campaign Canvas is through the listener. The listener has some constraints to it. And if you do a lot of work on program Canvas, you know what those constraints are. Basically, you have 4 different mechanisms to be able to trigger a contact coming into a program. You can look at the lead scoring model, contact creation, a field change, or the campaign responses. So you're limited here in terms of what information you can look at to determine if a contact record should be brought into the program Canvas. The other limitation is that it only happens once every 24 hours. So if you have a program that you need to feed more often and with different conditions, it's very difficult to do that using the listener. So what we've built is an app to handle that. So our Contact Cloud app, and by the way, I'm going to show you the app for the program Canvas for contacts. There's a similar app for program Canvas for custom objects. So we can feed both types of programs with the same type of application. So what we've got here is the ability to add context to a program looking at either segments or filters. So if you have a filter that you want to use to bring in the information to a program or a segment. So again, we can look at all the segments that you've got in your Eloqua system, and it will bring those contacts in. And then we can schedule this to go as often as you'd like. So we can schedule this for, say, I can run this every 15 minutes, or I could run it every 15 hours or every hour on the hour. I can schedule it when I want to. I can schedule it for certain days and certain times. So I could say I want it to go from 7 o'clock until 7 o'clock at night. And I want to do it every day, or if I want to click off on Saturday and Sunday, I only want to do during the week. So I can schedule my program to be fed whenever I need it to be fed for different circumstances. So if you think about a segment that is looking at multiple fields, could be lead status, or could be customer status, could be different types of information that you want to bring into a program. You would set up a filter or set up a segment to do that. Feed the program based on whatever time frame you want. If I want it to happen 24 hours, 24/7, I can just click this box and it will check all of the time frames. And then give yourself a notification if something goes wrong. In all of our apps, we also have a log capability, so you can always click on the logs to see how many records have been included in the feeder, and if there have been any errors, the error messages would show up in the logs as well. So that was a very quick introduction to two of our more popular apps. I hope that was valuable for some of you folks out there. And Karin, I think that's it for us.
Awesome, Mark, Tom, thank you. And guys, I put a link into specifically the Contact Merge app. And one of the reasons I asked these guys to come on is we know every customer who has Eloqua at some point has duplicates in Eloqua, in the contact database. It's inevitable, even if every month you're keeping an eye on it. So people have asked us for, how can we merge these? And this is one of the best options to do so with their Contact Merge app. So I would check it out and at least, have a process of some type for doing the merging of the contacts, the removal inactives over a period of time, like to keep your Eloqua database as healthy as possible. But merging duplicates is one of the things that's a pain in Eloqua, it's a pain in Marketo, it's a pain in Pardot, etc. And people are looking for ways to solve for it. And thankfully, Tom and Mark and their team at Forethought have put some thought into it, no pun intended, and created that app you just showed before at the last one. So with that, I'm going to quickly share my screen and introduce you guys to our next few presenters. Bear with me. Oracle's product called InfinityIQ. It hasn't been on the market that long. Oracle's had Infinity and Maximizer for years. So we're going to hear about what InfinityIQ is and how it can benefit you as Eloqua users. So Abbas is a global director of product marketing at Oracle Marketing Cloud. And Brandon is one of the best and most senior SEs I've worked with at Oracle. So he'll do the demo part. But without further ado, Abbas, I'm going to hand it over to you, I think, to walk us through an overview first.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, Brandon will do the most exciting part. So yes. All right, let me share my screen. And all right, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Cool. All right, I'm not gonna waste time in intros. I run product marketing for data and AI products, and as you said, KP, Brandon is a brain behind putting all this together. So, all right, let's get started. So first few slides, I'm not going to waste a lot of time. We all know what's going on around us, right? I mean, there's a rapid acceleration to digital technologies. Last year has shown us that, right, within a matter of days, that companies needed to transition to a fully digital model. And with this transition, now customers are using more digital assets than ever before. And just to double click into how much of the content is being used today, look at these previously unimaginable numbers, right? Over every single internet minute last year, we as consumers used over 760,000, we watched 760,000 hours of videos on Netflix. Over 200,000 people were hosted on Zoom calls. Collectively, we spent over $1 million on online shopping just within the US. So there's a huge focus on this digital transformation that has been happening for a long time, but it really got accelerated by this in this new world, I would say, the new normal, right? So customer experiences are driving this digital transformation, right? Their behaviors and the preferred method of interacting with a brand has really changed significantly. As human beings, experiences always have defined us, but the pandemic has reinforced the notion that a brand's value is defined by the experiences that it delivers. But in this new world, every customer interaction matters, right? Every moment a customer is engaging with your brand, that matters. That gives a brand that opportunity to basically serve those customers in a better way. But us marketers, I mean, I'm a marketer, so us marketers have been frustrated because in past we have had to make a choice between being fast or being smart. But it doesn't have to be this way. And let me give you an example of that, right? Somebody is on your website and you get to predict or understand that they're showing behaviors of someone who's going to churn out, who's going to drop out of your website. What can you do? You can be fast and show them a coupon, a free shipping, or something like that, just to entice them to stay. Or you can be smart and understand their behavior of why they are leaving. It's not because they need a coupon, they're leaving because they couldn't find something that they were looking for, right? So that's an example of being smart and being fast, right? So we believe that a marketer can be both. They can do things fast and smartly at the same time to act on customer signals in real time to drive better personalized digital experiences. And that's why we built InfinityIQ. InfinityIQ is built to optimize a customer's digital experiences in real time, making their interactions with your brand highly personalized, relevant, and compelling across their digital journey with your brand. The AI and machine learning, the intelligence that I talked about, that's built into Oracle Infinity that uses it in real time to provide the sophisticated marketing and makes it basically simple. And the example of that is, right, you know, all the algorithms and everything is running behind the scenes to do all the heavy lifting, but making it simpler for marketer to use who don't want to require any heavy lifting by the IT. When we think about InfinityIQ, we put that in 3 different buckets, right? These are the 3 umbrella assets that Infinity is designed to help a marketer with. So putting data in motion. Customer actions are collected while they're on your digital property. And the information can be observed, analyzed, and acted upon in real time to improve the marketing ROI. Applying intelligence in real time, think of it as understanding a customer's digital behavior and signals. This can be used to lead to increased online conversion rates, enhanced digital experiences, and improve business outcomes. And finally, the activation piece, optimizing and personalizing digital experiences in real time. Let's now talk briefly about some of the unique differentiators of Oracle Infinity and what sets it apart from the competition. And so when you think about it, one thing that comes to mind is the real-time nature of the solution. We believe that the personalization should be really real-time. When I say really real-time, it's a very broad term, real-time. Everybody's real-time, but what does real-time actually mean? To me, it means actually doing stuff in real time while it's happening. We look at it that what's relevant. So Infinity, if you have Infinity, you can look at it, what's relevant for the customer, a specific customer in the moment, using all available data rather than the subset of the data, and aim to predict what they're likely to do next, rather than expecting them to continue to do what they have historically been doing. And a quick example is one of our customers in Europe. They had a lot of call volume on their contact center. They wanted to reduce that. That's one of the use cases that they bought Infinity for. And now they're using Infinity to inform when a customer comes to their website on the digital properties, what are they looking for? If they're looking for a service, something is not working. So they can actually predict which customer is going to call the call center versus trying to actually solve their problem on the digital property. And they have actually reduced the number of calls to the call center by 85%. So the second piece here is that we believe that personalization should be embedded into every digital customer interaction. We ensure with Oracle Infinity that personalization is omnipresent throughout the customer's online interactions with any brand in any industry on any touch point. We believe that personalization should be smart. Oracle Infinity uses machine learning and AI to predict a customer's next move and show them the most relevant products, content, and offers in real time. We also believe that personalization should be easy to achieve. Therefore, Infinity is open, flexible, and marketer-friendly. And finally, personalization should be tested, measured, and continually improved. Infinity allows marketers to test, analyze, and optimize every customer interaction. InfinityIQ, which, like KP said, it's a new product, but it has huge value that it's showing for all of the other products within Oracle's marketing cloud here. I'm going to focus specifically on the one that's relevant to this audience today. Here is Eloqua, right? So I'm sure all of you understand about Eloqua. I don't need to preach the choir here. Eloqua excels in providing personalized cross-channel campaigns at scale, tracking traditional metrics such as email sends, opens, page visits, clicks, and FOB submissions. However, these metrics are limited to the activities initiated within Eloqua. And the marketers face frequent blind spots when looking to understand the full customer journey, the full customer view or experience of an individual on their digital asset. With InfinityIQ, marketers can gain insights into the entirety of an individual's interest on their site or their purchase history, or by showing their activities across the entire session. Rather than only seeing that the customer visited the product page via a call to action in an Eloqua email, marketers can potentially see a much broader range of behaviors. For example, the amount of time the prospect spent watching a video, which articles they clicked on, where they may have abandoned a form, how long they interacted on a specific page within their online session. Individual activities can be exported from Infinity to be used in Eloqua to drive precise segmentation and better lead quality and score. I'm gonna stop here, and whatever I said, now Brandon is going to show you in a cool demo, which you see there. When you think about InfinityIQ, you can think about a lot of capabilities from Oracle are coming together to solve specific problems. We are bringing together streams, analytics, maximizer, all the recommender, right? So all these capabilities are coming together to build this powerful tool. So for this, I'm going to hand it over to Brendan.
Awesome, thank you, Abbas. And again, I know I only have 10 minutes, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to show everything as it relates to the Infinity platform. Can you guys give me a thumbs up that you guys can see that screen now?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So I actually just want to start. We kind of saw 3 different phases of the Infinity journey, where we're collecting data, we're seeing some intelligence and creating some actions, and then potentially personalizing our website. Hopefully I can get through at least the first 2 if we have time. I'd love to show the third part of that. But we're actually just going to start by collecting some data actually on the Sojourn website. I'm going to use this as a very specific example. And one of the things that you're going to see is, if you've seen any Infinity demos, we're going to see this tag, this Oracle logo flying around. Now, this is just for demo purposes. Obviously, this would not appear in practice, but we're just visualizing that we are capturing my individual browsing behavior. Now, the real strength of this tool is the ability to capture this at scale for millions of site visitors. But again, we're just showing you a really short snippet of the types of values that we can capture. So again, let's say, we're on the Sojourn website, we're scrolling down, trying to understand more about different solutions. Maybe we'll head over to the solutions page. We'll understand more about account-based marketing, reading more, understanding, clicking on some links potentially. Maybe I'm really interested specifically in Eloqua. So I really want to learn about Eloqua specific services. So again, kind of the customer journey on the site, trying to understand. And then maybe, after I've scrolled and seen a lot of this content, I then close my window. Now, as this was happening, in the background, we've been collecting all these different data points in real time. So I want to pause here and kind of just talk through some of the parameters that we're collecting here and some of these numbers that we're populating in real time as well. So a lot of these naming conventions are specific to our demo environment, but I want to call out some of the boxes that I've actually identified here. So we've seen the domain that I've gone to, the page URL, the actual page title that I was on. The referrer information can be really helpful to understand and track some of your customer journey information. So I started on Google, then I went to the home page, then I went to account-based marketing. So we can also understand, how are people finding your website? Are your social posts working? Is there an affiliated or related business site that's actually sending traffic your way? I've also pulled out some additional information, the timestamp and date information related to this session. Also, this is an interesting metric related to scroll depth. So I like to think about, if you're familiar with some of the Eloqua capabilities as it relates to page tagging, Infinity really is a lot more granular regarding what you can track. And so scroll depth is one example of that. So these are actually percentages of how far down on a page I've actually scrolled. So we're going to see these update. I've only seen 9% of a specific page, 55% of a specific page. And again, you can map these back to the specific pages in the journey. But as you're trying to just understand what content has someone viewed, have they viewed a video? Have they seen 100% of this page content? You can see that within this view. A couple other things related to the device I'm using, location information. You can even pass in some parameters related to email address. So maybe I've clicked on an Eloqua email and it's taken me to our website. So we actually know that I'm brandon.ray@oracle.com. That's something that we can capture as part of this tagging process as well. And then this is another good example of I'm actually using Oracle VPN. And so thanks to the Oracle VPN, we know that we're able to see that I work at Oracle using that VPN, and we have that visibility, which can be helpful from a B2B sense. I'll just give you a couple other examples. You might remember that I actually searched for a specific term on the Sojourn website, Eloqua. So that's another type of data field that we can capture. And then the only other thing I'll just showcase very quickly is related to an anonymous identifier as well. So we've shown that, yes, if I clicked on a link or fulfilled a form that says that what my email address is, we might be able to capture that, but we're also capturing just an unknown cookie address. So that's signified by this, this visitor ID is essentially what this terminology means. But again, just trying to stress the fact that we have some of this unknown, we have some of these unknown identifiers, and then we can use that as we get to the personalization session, even if we don't know anything about me outside of some of this, high level information regarding, what I'm doing on the site. We can still use that cookie to actually personalize the experience that we have in real time. So that actually segues pretty nicely into the next section that I want to cover is related to the actions within the platform. So the next section, what data do we actually care about? What data do we actually want to potentially send to Eloqua? What data do we actually want to send to the personalization component of InfinityIQ to actually change the experience in real time? So I'm actually going to start and go through the creation process. And again, this is a newer example. Let's just say we're going to make an action based on account-based marketing. We're interested in account-based marketing. So maybe this is an action to personalize content based on actions, focus on account-based marketing as something that I'm interested in. And I say this is newer. If you're familiar with the Infinity interface, this is a newer edition we're bringing out as part of this InfinityIQ launch. And so I'm going to go through kind of step-by-step the process to configure one of these actions. Now, there's really two steps to this process. First, we're going to choose the behaviors that we care about, which really do map back to what we started off. We care about people visiting a specific page or clicking on a specific link or watching a video or searching for a specific term. And then we're going to set some filters to specify exactly who we're going to include or who we're going to exclude based on those behaviors. So let's actually start by selecting a scenario from this dropdown. I'll also note you can create a custom scenario if you don't want to use some of these out-of-box options. But let's just do something so simple. Maybe they viewed content related to account-based marketing. So we're going to use that as the content group that we're viewing. And again, we have the ability to change any of these with very user-friendly dropdowns as well. So we want to make sure that they viewed content, at least twice. And the other thing that's going to be very important here, as we think about the real-time nature, coming back to some of Abbas's comments, we have the ability to do this action in real time before they even close their session. And so this is also going to relate to some of our predictions that we're going to talk about later. So as they're on your site, you can literally, try to understand what they're doing and then change that experience before they even leave the session. So I'll quickly just call out some of these additional behaviors that we have on the right-hand side here. So again, this could be related to maybe they clicked on an ad, maybe they search specific things on your site, they played or paused a video, they're searching for specific phrases, or they're looking at specific content. All of those are sort of out-of-the-box behaviors that we could track. Again, let's just do a very simple example. Maybe we want to see if they've actually clicked on an advertisement on Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever, and then they're brought to our site. We want to make sure that that's an action we're looking for and then tracking. So great. Next on who we're actually going to include. So here's where we get very specific on what type of advertising, what type of content group. And so you'll see right away that we have this context sensitive menu that's now been updated on the right hand side as well. So we want to actually specify what content did they look at, what advertisements. So we'll do that. Let's say we really care. They've looked at account-based marketing content. Now this could be pages, images, videos, however, your assets are tagged on your specific site. That's how we can actually relate this information back to the specific term. So we really care about people looking for, account-based marketing or ABM content. You can kind of have a little bit of flexibility there regarding some OR logic. And then we want to see, maybe they've clicked on an ad on our Facebook page. And so we're looking for people who've done these two specific actions. Those are the types of criteria that we're looking for as it relates to these specific behaviors. And again, as I was kind of alluding to, you can get really specific regarding some of this logic here as well. So you want to make sure all of these conditions apply. Both of these things have to be true before we actually consider this an action that we want to send, or we can make it any to bring back that OR logic as well. Same kind of idea, we can exclude some of the parameters as well. So we'll go through some of these additional parameters that are kind of beyond some of the behaviors that we brought out. So maybe for some weird reason, we want to actually exclude specific people who work at a specific company. Maybe we really don't want people who work at Oracle to be included as part of this data set. Again, you have that flexibility. And a lot of that data that we saw in the beginning as well, as we're talking through that streaming data, it comes into play in this center, this area as well. So filtering based on device, filtering based on location and where someone is based. If they're using a mobile app in their phone carrier, all of that information can be used as part of the exclusion process as well. Now, the only other thing I'll mention does kind of come full circle when we think about that predictive intelligence as well. So as you may or may not have noticed, the reason that this predictive intelligence is coming up is because this is happening within the same session. And so this is, again, another new feature when it comes to our InfinityIQ launch. And so we're trying to ask ourselves the question, what if we could predict if someone was actually going to do one of these behaviors before they close their browser, before they close their session? So that's a perfect example. I know Abbas kind of alluded to it earlier, but we can actually predict based on all the other visitor traffic that we've seen on your website, the likelihood that someone is actually going to close their browser within the next 5 clicks or so. And so that's a really, really helpful indication. Say, hey, we want to make sure that we get ahead of that closed session. We want to make sure that before that actually happens, we're going to show them a different experience, show them a pop-up, send them an Eloqua email, all these different actions that could happen as a result of this behavior that we predicted. So there's a couple different options here, based on the confidence that we have in that action happening, or the specific probability. If this is under a 50% chance of happening, maybe we're not going to trigger it, but we do have that flexibility there as well. All right, I know KP, we're right at time. I was planning to hopefully showcase some of this. Maybe I'll just spend like a quick minute to kind of alluding to this. if anyone is familiar with Maximizer, this is now a part of the InfinityIQ platform, but essentially it's just showing how we can leverage all of these actions that we've just created in real time by actually changing some of the content dynamically on your site. So this is the Maximizer interface. It is a part of InfinityIQ. So if we actually just open up the InfinityIQ menu, you might have noticed that that is a section there. But what this allows you to do is literally, in a very business user-friendly process, change a lot of the content within your site. So I don't have access to the Sojourn site. We can just use this as part of the visual editor. Obviously, these won't be live changes, but we still have the ability to potentially change some variants associated with some of these actions. So let's say we know someone is searching for account-based marketing. And so maybe we want to change the title text. We want to hide an image, add an image, based on the specific actions that are happening. And then again, part of this Maximizer experience is comparing the metrics associated with that. So maybe we want to say, if we change the title page to say account-based marketing specifically for people who have searched for account-based marketing, what does that mean for our click rate? What does that mean for page views and track clicks and all those different metrics that you might care about tracking? And so, I could spend probably another 30 minutes just going into the specific reports regarding how we can actually measure the success of these campaigns. But hopefully that just gives you a taste of the application of those different actions and the ability to actually change some of this content in real time.
There's a lot there. Thank you, Brandon, Abbas. There's so much I think that Maximizer alone can do, like just thinking about Maximizer for web testing and personalization at a high level of their features, just summarizing it in that way. And Infinity with analytics and passing the streams, like very specific things people are doing on your website instantly to Eloqua so they can be pulled into a campaign right away and sent, say, an SMS message or an email or retargeted on LinkedIn or something or elsewhere. So, there's lots of benefits of InfinityIQ because it's pulling together a couple of Oracle's products. So just something to consider, not trying to sell you guys on it, but I feel like it's my job since, like when I was an Eloqua user, there wasn't even as much MarTech back then. This was 2005, I started using Eloqua, so it was easier. Now you guys have so many freaking tools to try to understand what the heck they do, what the salesperson is saying, try to understand what is this actually going to help me do at the end of the day? Is it going to impact marketing? Is it going to help us perform better? Is it going to help me enable sales more? Is it going to free up IT's time so they can do something else? Like there's so many different mindsets as well with these tools of what do you want to gain? But I feel like it's part of my job to help Eloqua users like yourselves to understand what's out there. And specifically because you have an Oracle product in their marketing cloud, there are solutions that complement Eloqua that integrate most of them right out of the box with Eloqua like we're seeing today. So that's the idea, is to look into those. Of course, Adobe, Salesforce, et cetera, have other solutions similar to these. The biggest difference is your negotiation standpoint, but also the integrations right out of the box. So I'm going to quickly go through one more topic because I feel like it's important. I'm going to zoom through it. No pun intended. So if you didn't know about Apple's Hide My Email feature, let me just start with what the heck it is. So you can see a screenshot on the right that basically an iPhone user, anybody using an Apple device that has the iOS operating system, which most of them do, Apple made changes in September and they went live for anybody that upgraded to the latest version of iOS. So I think, 15. So there are some optional things people can enable, and this is one of them. When it's enabled, what it does is if I'm on your website, say trying to fill out a form, and you ask for my email address, this will pop up automatically on my iPhone, just as an example. It has for me a few times. This is what triggered me to look into this. And it will give me the option, like it says there, hide my email, meaning I can put in my real email address, karenpindle@sojournsolutions.com or karenpindle@hotmail.com, or I can use this, and what it does is Apple automatically generates a fake email address. However, that fake email address on their end ties back to my real email. So at the end of the day, all of those fake emails have an iCloud.com domain in them, but keep in mind, there are people using iCloud emails that are real. So I could sign up today, and it's probably not taken, karenpindle@icloud.com, and create that and use it for real. But it's creating fake emails, and there's not an algorithm to them that you can easily identify them. So What the negative side of this is, worst case scenario is you get those into Eloqua in your contact database, you start emailing them. They're not real email addresses. They are intentionally fake. And what happens is your email deliverability goes in the pooper. It goes down. So your other emails you're sending out don't get into people's inboxes as much as they should and can. There's some other things as well, like it'll create a duplicate. So it'll create my fake email address, but you've already got my real email address in 2 different contacts now in Eloqua. So you start to have duplicates, hence kind of tying back to our topic earlier with forethought marketing on a way to manage duplicates in Eloqua. So it's hard to completely stop. You can't stop this from happening. However, the tips down below give you an idea of where to start. So first of all, educate yourself. I'm giving you a really quick synopsis of what this is. I highly recommend you read the Litmus blog post about it and the Oracle blog post about it. They both did a nice job summarizing it. And Oracle specifically, focused on email marketing and how it impacts you there. The next thing is keep in mind that people who trust your brand are not likely to use this feature that Apple's offering. If I trust your brand, I'm going to give you my real email address. If I don't trust your brand, I'm likely to use it. The other thing is building trust. One of the pieces of that is have a clear, trustworthy privacy policy that states you will not sell my information or anybody's information that you're collecting on your website forms. So not everybody has that. And I know for me, I've gotten a ridiculous amount of email spam additionally this year than any other year, and also automated voice messages that are so annoying. I'm surprised I haven't had one during this call. That are not real humans. It's automated voice messages or people calling me. So please don't do that to your customer base, by the way, and prospects. The next thing is with your forms, you can make it so that you can make it clear on the verbiage on the form, the page the form is on, that a real email address is required. And also state something like, if you want this report, please provide us a real email address because we're going to email it to you. We're not going to have you redirected to it. I mean, you can use better language than that, but basically letting people know they need to submit a valid email address or they won't get contacted by you, like if it's your contact us form. The other thing is to look for, you can create a segment in Eloqua, identify people with the contact field that has email address, domain contains iCloud.com, and run that across the activity that has right in there in the segment filter criteria of hard bounce back, and look at the crossover there. And then what you want to do is tie that back to, just monitor it for one, have that segment built, but then look into what are the sources driving these people that we can actually look at and see their fake email addresses. You might still have a form out there somewhere, whether it's on your website or a landing page in Eloqua, that isn't asking people to very clearly submit a valid or real email address. These are just some of the ideas. The other thing is, when you do obviously identify the fake email addresses, you're going to want to remove them from Eloqua, or at least set them to unsubscribe so you don't send them any emails. And again, don't do this across the board for all iCloud.com contacts in Eloqua, because there are valid people using iCloud.com email addresses. It's easy to get one when you buy an iPhone or an Apple device. So we have 1 minute left. I'm going to wrap it up here. We don't really have much more time for opening it up for tips or questions, but I want to thank you guys. There's quite a few of you that have been coming back almost every month this year. Thank you for doing so. I really appreciate it. And I'm grateful for a lot of things this year. And I've been grateful for this year, the ability to host this monthly webinar and gather together us Eloqua users. So we'll do it one more time this year, next month, December 16th, same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. I think in the UK, et cetera, et cetera. So please feel free to join. I will send you an invite since you're here. I always email out an invitation, usually about a week before the user group meeting, to remind you and to give you the agenda. So that said, we have a couple topics for next month, like tips for migrating to OCI. If you want to present, let me know. If you want a topic discussed, let me know. The way I create these agendas is from users and folks like yourself. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And if you're in the States, happy Thanksgiving. Everybody stay safe. Take care. Bye, everyone.